Hello again, everybody. Thank you again for joining us. The months are wearing on. A lot of changes, a lot of news, and obviously a lot of adapting to the old cliche of the new normal. I'm delighted today to be joined by Maria Jennings from the Food Standards Agency. Obviously, with the amount of diversification going on in the industry, there's a lot to talk about with regard to kind of food standards. It's something that's important even before the old pandemic swept the globe, so maybe doubly important now that we get our heads around just the current issues and topics and the sort of issues being faced by businesses that are diversifying. Maria, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure you're very busy yourself.
A little bit busy.
If we maybe just start, could you possibly just explain, first of all, your job title, and also the role of the Standards Agency for any of the members that may be watching?
Sure, Joel. My name's Maria Jennings, and I'm the Director for the Food Standards Agency in Northern Ireland. The Food Standards Agency is a bit of a strange organisation. It's a government department, but it works across three countries, England, Wales and Northern Ireland. So the Food Standards Agency sets the standards for food safety and in Northern Ireland. And then local council environmental health teams will enforce those standards across Northern Ireland. And we make sure that the environmental health teams work in a consistent way and that our rules are applied across all of the businesses in the same way.
So obviously, at the moment, it's something that's in sharp focus with obviously the ongoing pandemic and the businesses, particularly hospitality and the food sector, adapting, diversifying to try and offer something safely to their customers with the context of the ongoing pandemic and the regulations. So thought it would be very useful just to explore a few of those kind of areas and see if we can provide a bit of advice that obviously the Food Standards Agency is there for any members that want to get in touch for further information. But as a broad overview, it'd be great if we could cover a few topics. So, first of all, something that has been an issue or a, sort of maybe a new development during the lockdown and post into this kind of semi-open that we're experiencing at the minute. A lot of food businesses being started from home and a lot of meals being cooked in kitchens and domestic properties. Are they considered a food business and should they be registering as such?
Well, first of all, Joel, I want to say thank you very much for all the food businesses that have been working throughout the pandemic, because it's really important for us to acknowledge how difficult it has been for people to work in the circumstances that they have been faced by. But also sometimes these strange circumstances provide opportunities for people. And one of the things that we have been seeing is that people are starting to think about different ways in which food would be supplied. The working from home is one of the things that people have had to adopt to, and obviously food businesses then spring up in the home environment, because of circumstances. So yes, the big rule for food businesses is if you're providing food in a regular way, and you're producing food to make money, then you are a food business, and you do need to register with your local council. That is a legal requirement, but it's free and it's easy to do. And once you're registered, then you would expect a visit or a phone call from an environmental health officer who will be able to help you to set up your business in the right way.
We will use the magic of television to put the registration website on screen here, but it's www.gov.uk/food business registration. And as I say, it will appear on screen so you don't have to listen to my rambling. What are the benefits of registering those businesses, Maria? Why can't they carry on without doing so?
Well, as I said to you, it's a legal requirement, first of all, so it keeps you within the law. But actually, it's not very often that you will hear this. You get access to lots and lots of free advice. And that's really important, especially for small businesses who are just setting up, who want to do the right thing. The environmental health teams and the local authorities can provide you with lots and lots of advice and guidance. And also we have lots of advice online as well to help businesses.
Uh, Obviously, then, with the context of people trying new things and sort of working from home, all of that kind of thing, right down to businesses that are still providing food from kitchens and commercial properties. How can a business be sure that they are providing safe food for customers?
This is really important, and we obviously are very worried about that because new people are entering into the marketplace, and they're doing different things. So they're providing food in different ways, and it's really important if you are an established food business just to go back to the basics. To think about the risks that are now within your food business, and then how to make sure that you build in controls that make those control those risks basically. So, for example, if you have staff, make sure that your staff have the right training, um, and that training is also available from various providers. So and it's all online. So make sure that you get training for your staff. Um, is your equipment that you're using suitable? Because sometimes, particularly in the home setting, you might need equipment that you wouldn't necessarily have in your own kitchen. So if you do need that equipment, make sure to invest in that. Where are you buying your ingredients from? Are your ingredients from a reputable supplier? Are you getting all the information that you need to provide that information on to your customers? So, for example, are there foods that you're producing that might have allergens in those foods? Have you got the right information to be able to pass that on to an allergic consumer? Really important. And then, think about where you store your food. Can you store it safely? Have you got suitable fridge and freezer facilities? And then, as well, make sure that you're cooking your food properly, and just all the basic stuff that you would need to be thinking about as a food business. One of the things that we have is a really good guide called Safe Catering, and that's an advice and guidance pack that you load from our website, and that will help you to work through the risks that you have in your business and how to mitigate against those risks.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up. A very good resource, the FSA Safe Catering Pack, which can be found on the Food Standards Agency website at food.gov.uk. Another area that people will know well about, but may sort of not know the details of, may not have a full understanding of, is the food hygiene rating scheme, which, if you'll forgive me, is colloquially known in the industry as scores on the doors. Where does the FHRS sort of lie within all of this, and how important is a good food hygiene rating scheme for a hospitality business or a food business?
Well, I would say this, but a good food hygiene rating is really important for your business, because actually it allows you to sell your business to your customers. And we have some evidence that consumers are actually checking more frequently and looking for a good food hygiene rating whenever they're making their choices about where they eat and where they buy their food from. So a good food hygiene rating, in my view, is absolutely critical. And there's no reason why all businesses should not get a really good food hygiene rating. If you're doing things in line with what is expected of you, then you can get a good food hygiene rating. One of the other things that businesses maybe don't know is that sometimes a good food hygiene rating can reduce your insurance premium as well. So insurance companies use that to prove that actually the business is doing the right thing.
To expand on that a little bit, something that the hospitality industry in particular had to get to grips with in the previous couple of years is the food allergen guidance and providing food allergen information. It's something that's pertinent at the minute. If you're a food business or a hospitality business, how can you provide that allergen information accurately on food that you sell?
It's again so important because of all of the food safety issues. Allergens can cause people to get really, really sick, or in fact, in some cases, to sadly die from eating food. So it's one of the most critical things that we need food businesses to keep an eye on and be aware of. So whenever you are preparing your food, make sure that you understand that there are 14 allergens that we need you to be telling customers about. And there's lots of advice and guidance on this on our website. And there's a number of ways that you can provide that information to customers. So it depends on how you're supplying your food. If it's, if you're using one of the platforms, for example, you may need to put that information on the website. It's important for people to be able to choose the dishes that they want based on the information that you provide to them. But if you are supplying an allergic consumer, for example, if you're sending out a home delivery, make sure that you clearly mark that food so that that customer can receive the food that they expected to get.
Something that is a bit of an overarching theme in this conversation is obviously adapting, diversifying, changing how you do business to continue to survive throughout some pretty difficult circumstances this year. So if we maybe change that focus directly to established businesses who have diversified safely and are offering their product with the backdrop of obviously the COVID-19 pandemic. For a business that's considering changing how they operate, a food business that's considering changing how they operate due to the pandemic, what would the main things, the highlights be that they need to consider in order to trade safely?
My goodness, Joel, aren't we just so appreciative of businesses that have changed the way that they've provided food? So whenever we were all stuck in our houses, the one thing that kept us going was a nice takeaway.
And Amen to that.
It was great for us to be able to access that. But businesses had to move so quickly to change the way they were doing business. And it is hard whenever you have to move and adapt in that way so quickly. But again, there is really good help at hand. So my main piece of advice is just ring your local council. Talk to your environmental health officer. They will provide you with all the information and advice that you need to make sure that you're doing things safely.
I have often said that somehow this pandemic has shrunk all of my clothes, but that's a different conversation for a different day. Will a business need to redo their paperwork as a result of that?
Sometimes there are. I talked a little bit earlier about the risks that businesses, have to manage all the time. And whenever you think about, for example, having to supply food in a different way or deliver food, then those risks might change. And the paperwork needs to match what you are currently doing, not what you used to be doing.
And how will that kind of diversification affect staff?
Staff need to know what the changes are. And that's really important for staff because, they will be involved in managing these risks within the food business as well. So you need to keep your staff up to date with what your plans are, what you're thinking about doing, and involve them in having the conversations around how best to manage the risks.
And we've obviously, you mentioned it there, but we've seen a groundswell of food businesses going online for the first time. What would the highlights be or the headlines be for someone who's planning on selling their product online for the first time?
I think we've touched on it already in terms of the highest food safety risks would be around allergen management and making sure that the information on allergy, the allergy advice is given to the customers whenever they order the food online. But you have to think about how you supply your food from end to end. So how does that food reach your customer? And what are the controls that you need to put in place to be able to make sure that that food reaches customers safely? And that includes thinking about whether you're delivering food, high-risk food, hot, or maybe chilled as well. You have to think about that.
Yeah, and if we maybe just expand on that, it's obviously a vital aspect of online food delivery. So for businesses that have changed their model to delivery and takeaway, what should they be considering? And also, can they use personal cars to transport that food?
Yes, all food has to be delivered to customers in a way that makes sure that it doesn't compromise food safety, so that it isn't unsafe whenever it arrives there. So if you are supplying food, high risk foods, and you want to supply them cold, they need to be refrigerated and kept cool while they're being transported. And that might mean just packing them into an insulated box and using a cool gel pack or things like that. But also equally, foods that need to be kept hot should be packaged as well in an insulated bag to make sure that the hot chain remains valid. And then, yes, if domestic production and use of domestic vehicles is allowed. But have a look on our website again for some of the advice and guidance that we have for supplying food and what the vehicle's specifications are that we need you to meet.
Maria, it's such a vital area at the minute. It's in sharp focus with the sort of state of the industry at the minute, and the ways that people are adapting to provide their product to customers. And I'm sure that we could talk here for hours, but to save your voice and mine, I think it's vitally important, and I can't stress enough. The Food Standards Agency website has some excellent resources there, and Hospitality Ulster members can of course come through ourselves for anything specific, or anything regarding to regarding your business specifically. For now, Maria, can I just thank you very much for your time today? It's something that's really important, and we look forward to chatting to you again in the not too distant future. Thank you very much.
Thanks a million, Joel.